One of the greatest comedy actors of our generation is the legendary Jim Carrey, born in Canada and thrust to fame courtesy of his whirlwind 1994 Hollywood domination that included Dumb and Dumber, which, shock horror, I was never really a fan of. But he's since been spending 25 years making some of the best and worst movies of all time. But not many have entertained us in quite such flamboyant style over the last 3 decades. So here's my list of the top 10 Jim Carrey movies ever. I'll start with the flicks that just missed my list. Michel Gondry's Eternal Sunshine was a messed up, twisted take on how to forget your girlfriend when the pain of breaking up is too much. With Kate Winslet, Elijah Wood, Kirsten Dunst and Mark Ruffalo on the support bill, this one is quite weird. For me, he actually performed better in the dire and appalling Batman Forever, which is fantastic if you're about 10. Any older and you'll vomit your way through Joel Schumacher's turgid, cliched Cape Crusader abomination. But Jim Carrey was actually the perfect Riddler. Did you know Robin Williams was going to get the role? Slightly more bizarre was Ben Stiller's second film in the director's chair, The Cable Guy. But this was way creepier than Reality Bites. Tell a bloke who was raised by television that you don't want to be friends with him and see what happens. Seriously, it's not good, but funny and dark as hell. It's just as painfully awkward watching Me, Myself and Irene, the wacky, insane comedy of Carey, the lunacy of the Farrelly brothers directing, and a plot about a guy with a split personality, and you're in for something very odd and quite brutal. And Renee Zellweger is just as good as Carey in every way. So, onwards to the top 10! Firstly, I can't quite believe I'm putting Mr. Popper's Penguins in this list. Considering it was made in 2011, it's a bit dated, a little old-fashioned, and quite corny. The only reason it works is 2 words: Jim Carrey. He proves that time hasn't dated his ability. It's in the same vein as some of his true classics, and despite me wanting to hate the cheesiness of it all, I just can't. It's Jim Carrey at his family heartwarming best. We better give a nod to the character that started it all, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. It is cheating a little to put these films as joint ninth, but I don't care. They're still brilliantly silly, and your 8-year-old self is never going to forget how childishly excellent this is. He's bonkers, insane, and head over heels for his animals, but he's startlingly good at what he does, and his comedy timing is second to none. Whilst the movies have aged a little, they're not bad at all. In fact, you could say they're alrighty then. Alright, that was a bit cheap. Easy to neglect, A Christmas Carol actually saw Jim Carrey doing something a little different. Straight drama. True, he brought his own spirit and essence to the Charles Dickens classic, but let's not forget that not only does he play Ebenezer Scrooge, but he also plays all 3 ghosts. Bet you didn't know that. He pulled an excellent acting performance out of the bag in this one, and no matter what you think of the animation, Disney told the Christmas classic exactly to the book, and in a new and exemplary fashion, and Jim Carrey totally rose to the occasion. Speaking of Christmas, how many people knew that the film is actually called How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and not just The Grinch? That's what we all call it, of course, and it's a staple of Yuletide frivolity, up there with Elf, Miracle on 34th Street and Jingle All the Way. Okay, maybe not that one. But can you imagine anybody else playing Dr. Seuss's devilish green dude? Nope, me neither. I'm not looking forward to the animated reboot either, because I just think Cumberbatch won't be a patch on Jim Carrey. I mean, he is the Grinch. Look at him. He is the Grinch! Anyway, the next one is unlikely to have been heard of by the majority of our viewers. The Majestic sees the man who gave us The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile direct Mr. Carrey in 1950s America during the communist witch hunt of Hollywood's screenwriters. He gets drunk, has an accident, loses his memory, and gets mistook for a figurehead of the town who died in World War II. It's poignant, stupendous, and incredibly written and performed by all, and proof that give Jim a good story, and he'll act as well as he'll clown around. Well, I've mentioned clowning around now, so next comes The Mask, and now you're all in the mood to watch it again. That epic 1994 year really was exceptional for Jim Carrey, but against Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura, this one is the movie that for me stands the test of time. It's slapstick to the extreme, and humans behaving like cartoons if done well is always funny, and many consider this to be Jim Carrey's ultimate comedy performance. It's definitely up there, and you won't find many films more insane that the whole family can enjoy. The Grinch? The Mask? Why the hell didn't he go ape and just play Shrek? He's very good at being green. We move on to the movie that rocked Jim Carrey to his very core, Man on the Moon. It saw him become Andy Kaufman and his bizarre alter ego Tony Clifton. Of all the stand-up comics of the last 100 years, Kaufman was definitely one of the most intense, and that Carrey was able to beat Ed Norton to the role shows beautifully in his performance. As crazy as he is brilliant throughout, this should have at least got him a nomination at the Oscars. It's tough to watch and a masterpiece of the macabre, but it's essential viewing for any Jim Carrey aficionado. In third place comes one of the greatest dramas of the 1990s, and so poignant now reality TV has stormed the world. Just before the emergence of shows like Big Brother and the Kardashian world domination came The Truman Show. Jim Carrey plays a man who has no idea he's the star of his own show. He's funny and charming, but also honest, intense, and incredibly heartfelt. It's one of my favourite ever Jim Carrey performances, because as silly as he can be, he knows how to connect with something beautiful and artistic as well. Jim Carrey never clicked better than with director Tom Shadyac, and Liar Liar is without doubt one of his most beloved movies ever. Carrey plays a lawyer who can't stop lying until his son makes a birthday wish that for one day he can't lie, and all hell breaks loose. People still tell me today it's one of the greatest comedy movies of all time, and I completely agree. The writing is stunning, the acting is superb, the jokes are second to none, and it's the perfect vehicle to let Jim Carrey loose, and he runs riot with spectacular abandon. For me, only once did he ever do it better. Again, teamed up with Shadyac, Carrey makes comedy gold, and Bruce Almighty is my all-time favourite. A hard-luck TV presenter who can't get the breaks blames God for how awful he feels about life. So God tests him by bestowing all his powers upon him, leading to hilarious writing of self-injustices before some rather incredible storytelling about the beauty of free will. Both Christians and atheists alike have declared its brilliance because it makes the ultimate point about faith in a way that not only makes sense, but leaves the viewer asking the questions for themselves. It's as funny as it is thought-provoking and fantastic as it is addictive. It still holds pride of place on my DVD shelf, and I'm hoping yours too, especially if you're a Jim Carrey fan. It really is B-E-A-beautiful. What? How could you forget Dumb and Dumber? Liar Liar was better than Bruce Almighty? Calm down, folks. Just leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to TDi Media and follow me on social media at Jake Sanson for more content.